Hello, everybody. Wait, Geisukisquai Kapiniskis. Bonjour. Bonjour. Hola. Welcome, 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 wherever you're joining us from. You're joining us from. We're so pleased to have you. It's the 1st of October, and we are here to engage with how to teach nature journaling, curiosity, wonder, and attention. We're just letting little waterfall of humans come in while we listen to the birds. Got nearly 800 people here. Welcome, welcome. And if any of you need, there's the reactions button. Find the more button with the three dots, and you can give us some reactions because we are such a big group. We can't fit you all in a meeting. So, some hearts and love. Thank you. And somebody's found the closed captions. So, again, there you should find under your more button, show transcript or closed captions, and then you'll get a live transcript, the best that AI can do in this space. Okay, and I am going to gently let the birds just, hopefully that was a nice moment to come in. And I'm just going to reshare and get us kicked off as we begin. So for my land acknowledgement today, I took this photo. I just travelled back yesterday, the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, from the Yukon, where Julie and I were together on a trip working with educators up there at a conference. Just incredible landscapes, beautiful, beautiful places. And so firstly, I was in the Champagne and Ajac First Nations, and then T'an, and then Kwan Dun. And I really just wanted to really briefly talk about the cyclical things. And we were talking about journaling and writing. And we met this gentleman, Jack Bogard, who's from the Skeetan Shuswap First Nation. So the Shuswap are part of the Secwepemc, who are part of the people that have stories and relationship and hunting grounds where I am. I'm right at the centre of Snipes territory, and then it's a place of importance for the Secwepemc, the Silks, and the Tnaha. And so I met Jack. He's a carver and artist, and he's also working to reduce homelessness and anti-poverty in the Yukon. And we got chatting, and I was able to give him tobacco from his home territory, which is like a massive gift for me. And then it made me think he was talking about missing some of the animals and talking about turtles. And then I was thinking about this project that I did where the kids nature journaled. They went on a field trip to look at Western painted turtle, which is the only native freshwater turtle left where I live. And they ended up creating these massive pieces of art, amazing pieces of art that ended up in our local gallery. And you'll see some pretty nice journaling. So they first had a nature journal, and then they turned them into these big things. I wish I had a better picture of them all big, but they were so huge. We didn't have this thing. And so this turtle is very important for the Silks and features in pretty much all of the important stories about this place from all of the four First Nations. And so I just wanted to share that cyclical moment of joy that happened in the last week for me around journaling, around nature, around connection, around the fact that these kids didn't get told to do this project. They were so inspired by their time out in the field, testing water, looking for turtles, learning about their habitat, that they wanted to create these Save the Painted Turtle posters. And that is the impact of the work we're doing when we do land-based learning. So I'm deeply, deeply honored to be here sharing with you about this stuff. Oh, and then I was journaling with Leah Marie Dorion in our course with beautiful Métis artist, and that was the first ever turtle that I drew, and it, full circle of beautiful things. October 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day and if you haven't checked out resources yet, we have a link going in the chat that will enable you to connect with some things so that you can deepen your learning as we go. If you want to share in the chat whose native land you're on, please do. As part of this, we've created this 3-season so far, 4 seasons of Indigenous learning. There's a US Pacific season 1 and a Canadian one. And whichever season you do, whether it's learning with the land or coming to join us to learn about really building relationships with Indigenous people in season 3, all of us will come together, thousands of us will come together to meet once a month from October to May to listen to these beautiful speakers share their personal perspective on truth and reconciliation. And it's going to be a fantastic time. So if you haven't signed up, we hope you'll join us. We've got lots of other learning fun things There are short courses like Naturally Inclusive that closes really soon and starts really soon on October 21st around engaging children with all abilities. We have some Indigenous language courses and, as always, our 30-hour outdoor learning certification program that's self-led and really will help you also deepen your nature journaling practice based around the work that amazing Jack has done. I had to include this picture, Julie. I couldn't. This is me and Julie last week out in the nature, and Julie's here from Take Me Outside.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here with all of you. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, I'm from Take Me Outside. We're a national nonprofit organization supporting educators and school staff and taking their learners outdoors. I'm joining tonight from Dish with One Spoon and Between the Lakes Treaty 3 territory. And so the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, land that has been and continues to be stewarded by the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe. So very thankful to be on this land here today. Like Jade said, I was with her in the Yukon last week, and it was absolutely incredible. But I just want to tell you quickly about our upcoming annual event, Take Me Outside Day. So on October 23rd, which is coming up soon, we support folks in taking their learners outdoors on that day. And Take Me Outside Day has actually stretched into a whole week of virtual events. So it's free to sign up. October 21st to 25th. Our schedule is now live and posted on our website, but it will be a week of educational fun, including free virtual field trips you can do with your learners, free professional learning and resources, like an Indigenous STEM canoe challenge with Don Pratt, climate change from space with a Canadian astronaut, virtual field trips, with OceanWise and Polar Bears International, Indigenous storytelling, professional learning with natural curiosity, and so much more. So please check out that schedule. Like I say, it's all free, and we would love for you to join us for Take Me Outside Day this year. Thanks so much.
Yay! Thank you, Julie. Okay, we're going to do an ultra quick poll just to find out who is with us today. So I'm going to launch it. There's two questions, one at the top and one at the bottom. We are limited by how many different options there are. So if you don't see yourself represented, feel free to share it in the chat. But we're just wondering what kind of educator you are. And then maybe in the sort of colonial terms, which part of Turtle Island or North America you're joining us from, because it gives us a great idea. Oh my goodness, everybody. There's over 1,000 people here just hanging out, caring about outdoor learning, wanting to nature journal, wanting to take kids outside. Oh, God, it just makes my heart full. It makes me excited. It makes me joyous. I'm just going to give it 5 more seconds. I know not everyone will get a chance to answer, but we're trying to get to the, delicious meat and potatoes. So 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm ending the poll. I'm sharing the results. And here we are. Somebody from everywhere. We've got educators of all ages, but maybe a little bit more in the younger ages, but heaps of people, admins, not educators, family folk. Amazing. And people represented from every category, every space that we could think of to share. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. You make a real difference. These are all our partners. These people have amazing resources, maybe funding, things that are local to you or can help you build your outdoor learning practice. And you can find all their information on our website. They're all working really, really hard to make sure kids and you and everyone can go outside for learning. And we're really grateful for each and every one of them. And we think you might be too. Okay, but here we are. It's how to teach nature journaling, curiosity, wonder, and attention. And I know that you're not super massively into the long bios, Jack, so I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
But there's a picture of your beautiful book. But as a naturalist, artist, educator, scientist, to be, the work you've done is amazing in supporting nature journaling. And you can see in the recording if you want to get this bio, it's on Jack's amazing website. My small extra for you is because we were talking about how awesome you are and how much your first workshop made an impact and your book has made an impact. I hope you can see it, but I've made this for you. It's a little crochet cloud. And I think that's because now every time I go out with my kids, we look for cloud cover and we
Oh,
record it and we sketch clouds. And so I've crocheted this happy little cloud for you because I feel like also clouds can be happy and joyful. And I will send it in the post to you. Happy little cloud. And I shall pass it over to you to go forth and do all the fun things.
Well, fantastic. Well, I'm so delighted to be here with all of you. So, greetings from Ohlone Land next to San Francisco Bay. And I am delighted and honored to be here with this community that you have built. So I'm here today because I am I'm I'm a nature journaling evangelist. I think that this book is the missing piece of that has incredible power to connect all of us with place. And I want to and it's also for us educators how to teach nature journaling is actually much easier than everybody thinks. See, it's not about that you have to be like, let's say you don't have a big science background and you want to get people engaging with place and you're thinking like, oh, I need to learn about all the critters. But you don't know them yet, right? Or perhaps you're thinking to yourself like, I'd like to do nature journaling, but I'm not an artist. That's something for people who do art to do, and that's not me. Well, here's the deal. What the journal is it's not about art. It's not about being an expert in science. It is a tool for extending your thinking. It's an invitation to slow down, to pay attention to the place that you're in. This is kind of a cool light highlight that I can get on my face here. There we go. Um, yeah, so for a little bit we'll have some dappled light coming through the window here. But yeah, it's about thinking. It's about paying attention. It's about getting ourselves to be curious. And the journal itself is not the point of it. If this gets eaten by a hippopotamus, right, or a polar bear, you're fine because the process of doing it gets us to slow down and gets us to pay attention to place. Now, I know that there are some people on this call who've been doing nature journaling for a long time, and some of you are new to this. And so I hope to have something that will be of use to everybody here. But what I want to do is to start with a basic framework for why we're doing this. And this is something that I share with kids because if they know the big why behind why I'm doing this, they go like, "Oh, huh, that's authentic. I think I can buy into that." If I give them like, "Here's another piece of busy work the grown-ups have made up for you," they're like, "Ah, yeah, I'm going to take a hard pass on that." And but this is authentically useful. And when kids get that, they get that. And then that makes them want to lean into it. They can kind of go like, "Oh, hmm, I can see how if I did this, that would be really useful for me." You see, our ability to think just inside our head is really constrained. It's really limited. So if I'm out and I'm looking at, I find some phenomenon, this just came from my garden, and I'm looking at it, right? My brain very quickly gets filled up with the observations that I've made. And there's an old Gary Larson Far Side cartoon where the little child is in class and says, "May I please be excused? My brain is full." This actually happens. The research shows that our brain can hold about 7 different items at a time, plus or minus two. That's not a lot, right? So as I'm making little observations, I quickly get to that point, and then what my brain starts doing is it starts kicking out observations to make room for the next ones. Or sometimes what it even does is it just starts recycling the same observation to me again and again and again. And so I can do observational rumination where I have the subjective feeling that I'm really observing this carefully, but really I'm just noticing the same 7 or so things again and again and again. And when one kicks out and then I notice it again, I'm like, "Oh, I'm really looking hard." Right? So how can we get around this? Ta-da! Your journal. Right? So you observe something, you put it down on paper. If you see something, say something. So just sketch something, right? So you can put this down, all your little observations into your journal. And then um, the piece of paper can hold much more information than my brain possibly can. So then I look down at my paper, and here I can see levels of complexity that are invisible to me if I'm just using my eyes. So this is a doorway through which we can get our brains to pay attention past the point where we usually stop paying attention. It's an invitation just to open ourselves to the world. And as we'll see, to also open ourselves to mystery, to inquiry, and personal investigation. Let's take a look at how to do that. So I like to whip, right? So I like to, hi. I like to think of it this way. So here's our our big why am I doing this? This is about paying attention. This is about observing. This is a notebook. And what I'm doing is I am observing phenomena around me. And look at what's going on here. And on this page, this is much more a density of information than I can possibly handle just looking at through things on my own. It also allows me to time travel. This is a log of all of my observations. And so if I put something down and then the phenomenon changes, I'll be able to pick that up in here. So let's then, hold on, right? Let's sort of take a look at what is going to go on inside our brain when we start bringing all these elements together. So first, let's take a look at what you're going to put on your page. So what are you going to put down there? I think of it three ways. I've got three different activities that are going to enhance my attention. I'm doing this for attention, to enhance my curiosity, and also my creative thinking. And so let's start with thinking about our ability to pay attention. I have my mantra begins with noticing things. So when I go out into nature, let's kind of go to a page we haven't looked at yet. I go out into nature and I make an observation. I start just with what do I notice? What do I see? I make an observation and I put it down on a piece of paper. I make an observation, I put it down on paper. That can be what are the birds up to? What are the deer butts doing? What is interesting about the architecture that I'm looking at? Whatever catches my observation, all of this goes into the journal. So I'm not really filtering things. I'm trying to just let whatever my brain is encountering, I want to get those observations down onto the piece of paper. And that is the basic platform that I then start to build my curiosity into. So as I make these observations, these stimulate questions that come from my observations. So again, very often when we say to kids, does anybody have any, like what questions do you have? And everybody, like no hands are going up. It's because we're not engaging with real phenomena right in front of us. So if we have time to really observe things, then what we do is we try to help people see like each observation that you make, you can link to a question about what you're seeing. So why aren't kids curious? It's because we're not engaging them with phenomena around them. So let's start with paying attention to what's going on, and then let's teach ourselves how do we link those things with questions. And so questions. Let's see, am I asking any questions here? Looking at the eclipse, there are these little pink things that I saw right around the edge. There's a little moment when you can take your glasses off, and there are these little pink things around the edge. Like, what were those? I was wondering if those solar prominences? What's going on with that? So I'm looking at things and I'm just sort of going like, huh, why? What's going on with that? So here's this funky lemon. That was a lemon from my backyard. And then I'm going like, what's going on with this? Like, is this a gall? Um, Is there a little insect inside? So I'm then cutting it open and looking inside like there's no insect inside. But you see, this is a question that comes from the observations that I'm making. And if we're not doing that, let's say you're looking at an animal, how many people have had this experience? There's some animal doing like crazy behavior in front of you. Does anybody have any questions about this? Like first, there's no hands, and then somebody will like, how long do they live? How long did so you're looking at the deer kind of scampering around doing those weird like, and you want like, why is it that so many people want to know how long does it live, or how fast can they go, how many babies do they have? Why are we asking these questions? Because those are the questions that are on back of the little fact cards about animals. So we've been taught like, you want to know about cheetahs? Here's how fast it goes. Here's its, the number of babies that it has and all that sort of stuff. They're not, these are like pre-programmed questions. You're supposed to wonder about like, gosh, I wonder about how long they live, right? How much do they weigh, right? Those are the facts which we've been programmed to ask, right? And we think that like knowing about the animals means I've memorized the weight of the cheetah, right? But what if we can get ourselves to make observations? I notice something, and then in our own brain, turn that into the question that is hiding behind the observation. So that's where it starts, right? But wait, there's more. Um, the final piece of this is what I call it reminds me of. So I'm looking at something. What what does this what have I seen before that is in one way or another like this? Like this could be what I'm trying to do is take this set of observations and tie it in with the fabric of my own lived experience, with my prior knowledge. That's how things become meaningful for me. Right. So and this can be as scientific or as playful as I want. Like this reminds me of a gull that I've seen, or I could say like this reminds me of that big kind of planet eater from the old Star Trek episode. Whatever it is, this, um, this reminds me of a hawk's beak. What I'm trying to do is this reminds me of making lemonade with my mom, right? And the smell of the kitchen. So these three prompts. That is, I notice, I wonder it reminds me of. That is the core of what we're doing. And each one of these, like getting better observational skills, getting curious, and becoming more creative. So creative in our thinking. And here, let me kind of just define my terms. I know everybody throws around, anybody in education, people like throw around the word like this enhances creativity, right? Defining our terms here, when I say creativity, this is what I mean. I mean your brain's ability to make useful connections between seemingly unrelated things. Here's this, here's this. What is the connection? How do these come together? So we're practicing being connectors. How is this related to this? How am I related to this? What is my responsibility to that? How am I involved in this? How is that related? So we are training ourselves to make these sorts of links. But wait, there's more, right? So we have these are the what's. This is what I'm doing. But let's take a look at kind of technically how I am doing that on the page. What is the toolkit that we're going to use? So the first part of the toolkit is I'm going to use pictures. Right? I'm not saying this first because this is the most important. I'm saying this first because there are three of equal importance, and I'm dyslexic, so I like making lots of pictures. So um, I I will start with pictures. The goal of this is to get myself to observe. This is not about having to make pretty pictures. Um, but I want to use my drawings to get myself to investigate the landscape more deeply than I otherwise would, or whatever phenomenon is catching my eye, right? So here I'm looking at how does the angle of the crescent of the moon, how does it change as the night goes along? Huh, that's kind of fun. Um, and again, the purpose of this, I'm gonna have to look you straight in the eye for this. It's not about pretty pictures. And at this point, you may be saying, yeah, but you just showed us some pretty pictures. Why? Because that closet back there is filled with journals, and I just been drawing a lot. When I was in elementary school, my drawings were no better than anybody else's. My writing was definitely worse than everybody else's because I'm dyslexic and I still am, right? And so my little safety zone was I'm going to draw some pictures. And so I just started making lots of pictures. And anything you do more of, you get better at. So you folks out there who are saying, yeah, but that's great if I started in elementary school, but I don't have time to fill up a closet with journals. So that doesn't, you're not talking to me, but oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am talking to you because here's the deal. You do not need some Malcolm Gladwellian 10,000 hours of work on this. You give this 1 year, 1 year. Throw yourself into it and just start drawing on a regular basis. Neuroplasticity happens to everybody, and that includes you, right? So get your neuroplasticity on. Your brain will change its shape in response to not what you wish for, but what you do. Give it 1 year, and by the end of that, your colleagues will be saying like, "Oh, wow, that's cool that you do that nature journaling thing, but I can't do that because I'm not a gifted born artist like you are." Give it 1 year. Here's my guarantee for you. And there are now 1.1 thousand people on this call. So there's lots of people who will vouch for that I promised you this. Here's my promise to you. If you drop into this and you go for it for 1 year and you draw, at the end of that, you're going to be getting positive feedback from what you're doing, and you're going to look at something and the marks that you make on the page, this will look like that. And it's going to be fun. And you go like, wow, I just got so much better. But here's the guarantee. If you do it and it doesn't happen, call me up or send me an email. All my contact information is on my webpage, and I'll show you what that is later on. Call me up and I will become your personal drawing tutor and journaling tutor. Together, we're going to work on this because you will be a neurological anomaly that will absolutely fascinate me. And if I can help you then be able to do this, right, then that's going to help me be able to help other people. So I'm going to want to find out what's going on inside your wad of electric meat, and we're going to work that out together. You can do this. And also, if you take those risks in front of your students, oh, yeah, right? They see you being vulnerable. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get better. You're going to say, like, look, when I started doing this, this is where I was. Now, 3 journals later, look at where this is now. Me as this grown up, right? They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Look at me fetch, right? And that's pretty cool. So you're role modeling growth mindset in front of your students, but you have to take the risk. You have to do it to be able to do it. Boom. All right. So back to, I get off on tangents. All right. So I'm drawing these pictures. And the more you do this, the more you're going to get all sorts of skills under and strategies. All right. So, like, look at this. So here's this bone that I found by the shoreline. This is a cross section across this part. This is a cross section about this part. This is a cross section across here. It went like from flat to round. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that cool? So what you're going to learn is you can like, oh, well, I can do this. I can make little cross sections. Here's other cross sections. Like, let's see, this one is B. There's cross section B. Where's cross section B? Oh yeah, it's right across there. So if you slice this one around there, that's what you saw. Huh, isn't that fun? Cross section A, across there, that was that. Right. So, those are just examples of strategies that you can. So it's not just I'm going to draw a portrait of something. Um, I can I can make graphs. You're going to develop a visual vocabulary and nature journaling strategy vocabulary of like, oh, there's all this crazy stuff on the beach. I can graph it. Be careful of these though. It's the bonus biohazard that showed up in my little beach cleanup, right? So I have pictures, lots and lots of pictures. But wait, there's more. Because I am also using words. I am dyslexic. I'm scared of words. When I was a little guy, I always got my papers back covered with red pen, and it made me think that my words are stupid, right? I was embarrassed about my words because of my spelling. And so even today, as this old wrinkly grown up, it's a vulnerability for me to put words on the paper. But I know that when I do that, my brain is going to work differently, right? The part of my brain that is kind of working with words is back, I mean, with pictures is back here. I've got a visual cortex. Up here in my prefrontal cortex is a lot of stuff that is involving language and words and putting those things together. Physically different parts of my brain. So when I use words, that process is completely different than drawing pictures. It's not that one is better than the other, but what I encourage people to do is start with whatever your comfort zone is. For me, my comfort zone is drawing the pictures. So I get those pictures down and then I go like, oh, I better use some words. Let's see what happens to my observations in my brain. Right. Then I start using words. I'm like, ooh, I never would have thought of that, but now I do. And that's fun. So start with whatever your comfort zone is and then just push. That kind of gives you a safe place to stand. Push your bubble out a little bit. Just surf the wave that is slightly larger than the one you feel comfortable on. Push yourself, and you're going to grow all these different skills. And the last little piece of this is numbers. So it looks like when we play with math and numbers, there's a region to kind of put your hand above your ear on the side of your head. That lights up in fMRIs when we're doing math problems. So as I'm observing things, I um, I can be measuring things. So here are these little lupin plants that have these big bare stems with these little nibble places on them. And so this is 45 centimeters up till we get to there. So I've got a little, I'm measuring it. Here, I had some friends who were making an argument that it was cold at night because the places that would be in moonlight moonlight was making them cold. Well, I said, well, that's really cool because we can test that. And so here are measurements of moonlight temperatures in shadow. Here are ones in daylight, and then I mean not so in shadow and in moonlight. And then when I graph these, there's actually no real statistical difference between them. But these patterns come out. Here's testing with another way of doing this. These patterns emerge by looking at the numbers, right? So these are just different languages. And if we teach math as just, if we teach math as something that you do when you are, where you're just, um, that is math is for math problems in class, and we don't relate those to the natural environment that we're in. We're not kind of measuring things and finding the numbers in the world around us, then um, that's really sad because then we think that math is something that's happening over there in math class. So how can I find the numbers in the world around me? And many of us, we were taught math as speed calculation and memorizing your multiplication tables, as opposed to math is a way of visualizing the world and thinking about the world. People who, if you're just sort of, it was all like drill, 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 but no thinking, of course you don't like math. If you had learned language by memorize these spelling words and these grammar rules, but you never read a book, you would hate literature and language arts and all those sorts of things. So let's connect the beauty of the world with the numbers too, right? So numbers and math is just another language for describing the world. And math is as beautiful as the world that it describes. So give yourself, your mind and your heart the opportunity to be open to that. So what I've got here is, all right, what I've got here um, is actually, let's bump here. I have these three. I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. One, two, three. On the other hand, I have pictures, I have words and numbers. The I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of, right? This is the what I'm doing. Words, pictures, and numbers, that's the how. And what I do is I put both of these together, intersect them together, and push that down on the paper to get my thinking out of my head and onto the paper. And the world opens up. This formula, words, pictures, numbers, with I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of, is teachable, really easily teachable to kids. And everybody do this, like get your three fingers here, words, pictures, numbers. I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of, okay? Now take them, turn one of the hands so that they go together, and then push that down on your, like this little physical thing for some reason, like kids will like, oh, I see what we're doing. Right. And then we do. So kinesthetically, oh, I get it. Right. So this works. You take this strategy and you can apply it to anything. I had just the other day, I had a wonderful opportunity to meet and to listen to Robin Wall Kimmerer. Um, and these are my notes from that. Before I met her, I was sitting in a little garden looking at tomatoes. And but then you see how I'm doing essentially the same thing as this with the ideas that Kimmerer was sharing with the group. And and so this allowed me to pay attention in a much deeper way than I would if I just sat there and listened. At this point, just a few days ago, I would have already forgotten most of these lessons. But this forced me to, in the moment, pay more attention. And then I have it as a record to help bring me back to it. And I can also look down at the paper. After I went to this, I went to dinner with some people where we'd all been listening together. And we said, so what? I said, um, what really stood out for you? And for most people, it was the last idea that was mentioned because of our 7 ± 2. That last idea, which was really rich, then bumped out the other thoughts and ideas. So it ended with this story of Flint and Sapling. And that was the last thing that she spoke about. So for many people, they said that last story, that was what really stuck with me, just because it was the last thing. But all these other wonderful ideas got pushed out. So this allows you, this is all about thinking, right? Now, let's take this tool and put it in the presence of nature. See, that goes to 11. Right? You've got this tool for curiosity, this tool for observation, this tool for connecting things. And then you do this in nature. I mean, you had me at journaling, right? But now nature, really? Right? And we're all aware of all these sort of neurochemical things that go on in the presence of nature. Our brain can slow down. The journal then, in the presence of nature, invites us to slow down and breathe and notice. And the meaning that we make from this comes from our own minds and our own observations rather than here's stuff that has been learned about aspen trees, and I now want you to memorize this. How can I be in the presence of aspen trees and have that be my teacher? That's the secret's the journal, right? So, but when we do this in the presence of nature, the world just opens up. And that is the magic of this. So think about this from our teacher perspective now. You're teaching this, you're saying, like, I'm not an artist. That's okay, right? You're learning along with the rest of your students. You're going to have that whole growth mindset experience that they're going to have. You're going to get it too, right? And then you're bringing your class out into nature. But it's not just like, let's go out into nature. Now what? You actually have a focus. You've got this incredible tool for focusing our brain deeply on some phenomenon, and then that opens us up to just the complexity and beauty of the world. So you've got journal working for you. You're never alone out there. The journal is working for you. It's a really useful strategy. And you've got nature working for you. You're journaling in nature. Two great flavors together again. I mean, that's really, really powerful. And then what we do is we just get out of the way and we let nature and the power of journaling take it from there. There is some strategy that I find is very, very helpful in initially framing these things. And once the kids are really comfortable with it, you can go out into a natural area and say, get your journal, go find something cool, and I'll see you in an hour. It's that easy. But at the start, the scaffolding is really, really important. So for folks who are kind of new to this, let's sort of explore what this can look like. I know at the start of this, they showed the cover of a book called How to Teach Nature Journaling. This has 31 different activities that you can do with students to carefully structure nature journaling activities, to give kids scaffolding around those. And I want to kind of unpack with you kind of how I think about those. Those aren't the only activities that they can do, but they're examples of the sorts of things that get kids directly looking at phenomena in front of them. So let's go there now and look at some of the strategies which we can use. So the first thing is to find a phenomenon. That's a phenomenon. Everything out there is a phenomenon. And what you do is you're going to find that take any object and you start looking at it more carefully, and it starts doing the work for you. So this is just I just picked this out of my garden, and but rather than just some object, I want to look at it as a phenomenon. And I start just with in the beginning, I will help the students find their phenomenon. So I will say, today we're going to be using these little tomatillos, right? Right. So we're going to be using this little guy here. Um, then what's going to happen as they get more comfortable with the tool set, they'll be able to walk out there and find it themselves. But at first, there's sort of this overwhelmed feeling that people have where there's so much out there in nature. It really helps somebody to say, like, let's focus on this shell. Of all the things that's out here, let's take a careful look at this shell or this little piece of fruit. Again, later on, they've got total freedom to go explore whatever they want to do, but this really helps that overload. And then how do I do it? So at the start, I like to give really clear scaffolding of what am I going to do with this? And I'm going to give you an example of some of that scaffolding here. And I brought along a little portable dry erase board. This is my secret sort of magic bullet nature journaling teaching tool. I have a small portable dry erase board. This is great because on this, if I'm telling people how to do something that involves visual thinking, if I am able to show them visually, everybody gets it. And everybody's like, oh, I'm totally on board with this, right? But if I just describe it with words, now I'm using words, their brains have to transfer this to pictures. So what I'm going to say is we are going to explore this object from, in this case, I'm going to pop over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some scaffolding around an idea of kind of looking at this thing from different angles. So the thing I want to get in students' heads, this is sort of one of many kind of ways you can do things. But I want them to realize that I can do a side view, I can do an end view, I can do an end view here. If I wanted to, I could do a three-quarter view. And each one of those kind of tells me something different about the object that I'm looking at. And then that is a skill that I can apply all over the place. I'm looking at a shell, I can turn it around all these different directions. I'm looking at a fruit, I can do the same thing. I'm looking at a strange rock formation, I can do the same thing. So it becomes a transferable skill. We're first going to teach it in the context of we're going to take this and look at it from different angles. I might do this with a mushroom. Give everybody a mushroom. We're going to draw it from different angles. But then we apply that, that becomes something in their, Batgirl utility kit that they can pull out later on, like, oh, here's a weird phenomenon. I'm going to draw it from different angles. Right? So back here, and what I do is I say that I'm going to, as I look at it, it's kind of more pointed down on the bottom and kind of flat at the top in the little central thing, and it's about this big. And so I would first kind of make a um, sort of I like to do these very often if I can, sort of life size. And then I say, what else do we see on this that is not on here? And something like, oh, they got these little lines. Okay, where do the lines go this way? No, the lines go this way. All right, so I've got little lines. And what shape are the lines on the side? Oh, it's more curved. All right. Right. And um, I'm going to write in, oh, these lines are darker green. This part is sort of lemony greenish yellow, right? So you notice as I am doing this, all the students now can visualize themselves doing this in their own journal, right? What about from this angle? Huh, there are these cracks. How many? Let's count them. One, two, three, four, five. There's a big one, there's a long one, and then three small ones. Um, so might sort of show them that sometimes I'll put little kind of guidelines on, and that sort of helps me then be able to go like, oh, here is my little thing, and in the center, that's where it is, and I have those other lines that are then pointing down towards that, right? And I can see something kind of green and smooth inside. I'm going to draw a little line there. It's green and smooth inside, all right? And um, in our last class when we did this together, we had actually done something where we zoomed in on some feature that we found was really interesting. Let's take that lesson from last week and apply it to what we're doing this week. Remember, we did that zoom in, zoom out thing. Well, here is this interesting crack. I'm going to take this little crack area and make it really big so that there's a skinny crack, there is a big crack, and then there's a small crack, small crack, small crack, right? And that probably deserves a label. I'm going to write, shape of the crack on the bottom to sort of around the side. Maybe I'll make this a dotted line so that it is easier to sort of see what's going on there. So you see what I'm doing is I am describing what we're doing, and this is all I notice. And then I'm wondering, so is this sort of two big and three small? Is that true on all of the others? Or did the big ones tear to get longer? Huh. So I'm going to start to write in what questions can I come up with from my observations. What does this remind me of? Huh. I'm going to do an IRMO. It reminds me of little list over here. Sometimes I'll put those in right next to me. Like this reminds me of a curtain, um, a pleated curtain. And maybe that even gets a little curtain drawing. That's a curtain. But you see how kind of representing it on this, they're like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're using drawings, you're using pictures, you've got an enlargement there, you're writing questions on. Now all the students go out, everybody's got their own phenomenon, and they're going to be using some of these. This kind of scaffolding, people might initially say, but then everybody's going to give you this exact page back. Turns out that doesn't happen. One, because every kid's got a different little phenomenon in their hand. And also, this strategy is going into their brain, being modified by it. It's going to come out in a different way in each student. But you've got some kind of plan of how you would go about this. And so this way of thinking about it is really, really kind of high percentage. Now, I have demonstrated kind of these different angles and alluded to last week's presentation. I know when I took the Project Wild workshop, we did how many bears could live in the forest. We played Oh Dear and the thicket game, right? And then what did I do then when I got my students? There's this whole book of all these other activities. I went back and played the thicket game. How many bears can live in the forest? And oh dear, right? So when we see something demonstrated, we tend to do those ones. But then all the other ones, they just sit in the book as potential energy. So to help you with this, here's what we did. I want to show you a bunch of resources for educators, free resources for educators, and other resources that if you want to pay for them, you can, but you don't have to. Check this out. I'm going to share. I am going to share. I am not seeing the screen that I wanted to show you. So this is going to take me just a little moment behind the scenes. Give me a moment. And I am going to, there are three online resources that this is here. I did do. Why aren't you showing me this? Let's try this again. We're going to
While Jack's working that out, maybe I could just intercept while you beaver behind the scenes, just to let you
please.
know that those of you who are asking for the recording, this is being recorded, it's up on our page, and you will see that link in your follow-up email. If you don't see it, it might be in your spam. And if, like someone who's written to me privately, your school district email doesn't have a spam and you don't get it, please just ping me an email, jade@outdoorlearning.com, and I will make sure I get you the link because there's lovely links to resources and to the recording in there.
Super.
Oh,
Are you seeing the John Muir Law's webpage right now?
yes, indeed.
Ha! All right, we've got this working. So this is my website. Um, And I just want to, there's a bunch of resources on here that you may be interested in. So there are free online lessons if you want to say a class on, I'm going to be teaching a lesson on birds, but I would like to have some things on drawing birds. All of these are free lessons on drawing birds. So you can watch some of those, copy them. You can just pick any one here. How to draw duck wings. And you can click on that and it brings up, well, this thing on how to draw duck wings. But wait, there's more. I'm going to go back to the home. Oh, look at that. Drawing ducklings. So it's a video, and you can sort of follow along and kind of learn about drawing ducklings on that video. We'll just kind of so if you look at it, sort of like, painting, 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 do. For some reason I had pushed too many buttons behind the scenes here. All right, but let's go back to that home page. this is really fun. Here, I'm going to click on Educator Resources. So if I go to Educator Resources, because you're all educators, and it is trying to bring me there. Give it a moment. I'm going to, for some reason, my connection is slowing here. There we are. Teacher resources. So here's this How to Teach Nature Journaling. This is a book on, of all crazy things, how to teach nature journaling. And it is free. There's a download, free download. Also from my store, you can buy a hard copy of it, or you can find those in a store near you. I want to recommend that people either buy it from the authors or from your local independent bookstore, but avoid big online sellers. See if you can go to your own local bookstore and tell them, this is a book I'd like to order. It is not currently on your shelf. Here's the ISBN number for it. Please order it, and then I will buy it from you. When you do that, it will be less convenient. It will take longer and probably be more expensive, and it's still worth it. We also have every week a live discussion between educators. You can see if you click the little button there that says schedule, you get the schedule. You also can watch recordings of past ones where we talk about all things nature journaling. We have a conference. The Wild Wonder Foundation is an organization to help you connect with nature journaling and nature journaling resources. We have online conferences. You can get video passes to past conferences. We also have a Nature Journal Educator program and certificate. If you want to kind of go through, this is just a 1 hour thing we did today, but this is sort of a longer program to go in depth in skills, all these different activities, and you'll go really, really deep with that. The Nature Journal Connection is really, really fun. Actually, I'll do that at the end. I've got poster sets that you can get of next generation science standards uh, cross-cutting concepts. If you're in the United States, you know what we're talking about. Otherwise, they're just fun coloring books. But let's go over to the Nature Journal Connection, because this is fun. I had a really good time doing this, and I get a bad gateway error. Wah, wah, wah. All right, I will fix that. Um, I am going to go back to, oh dear. Now, for some reason, my whole website is shut down. This is a temporary error. Please try again later. Oh yeah, we hope it is. But what is let me we'll be back there in a little bit.
Jack,
Um,
I'm pretty sure it's because so many people are trying to go onto your website simultaneously from this
oh,
website.
we're crashing the site.
You crashed. We crashed it.
No,
It's we've
you
we've had too
rascals.
much of a party.
All
I'm
right.
sure it will be fine
But
in
all
about
right.
10 minutes.
But check this out. Well, I am, I appreciate your web traffic. But check this out. Check this out. The Nature Journal connection. Oh, look at this. I'm back. The Nature Journal connection is um, again, this is free. These are 10 to 15-minute videos. There are 40 of them, so you can do one each week with your students in a school year. And by the time you're done, you will have built up a huge set of nature journaling skills. So I will teach your students how to do nature journaling and give them a project each week. They are kid focused videos, and you can see on all sorts of different topics here. Um, and they're really fun. They're really fun. So how to do investigations, how to estimate numbers, how to do comparisons, how to measure things around you, do measured drawings, sit spots. All right. So they're really fun. And a lot of teachers are really actively using these. I also want to take you over to the Wild Wonder Foundation. This is a nonprofit organization that I started to help people be able to do nature journaling. And we have lots of free resources. If I go over here, there's this teach part in it. Look at this. See that teach part? All right. You want to teach nature journaling? If I go to the teach part, so here's how you can get the book. Um, but but here's a little quick start zine, which we made. And then look at this over here. Remember those 31 activities that I said? You don't even have to buy the book. They're all right here. So if I see, let's see all the activities. So here are these different activities, and it will bring you download. So let's go into the getting started one, because maybe we're getting started. All right, so here are getting started activities. All right, there's I notice, I wonder what it reminds me of. Here's the comparison. Let's just go to this activity and see what we get when we get there. All right, here is a download of how to teach the activity. Here's a sample of how this might look on your whiteboard, right, when you're describing this to the students. And here's a video of the amazing Emily Ligren or other nature journal educators all around the world teaching these, so you get to see someone else lead the activity. And then that makes it so much easier. This gets around that thing of like, I only saw the, how many bears can live in the forest. So I'm only going to do how many bears can live in the forest. So this allows you to see other people doing it. And they're great. They're really fun. But wait, there's more. Because also at the Wild Wonder Foundation, we have created a clean, well-lighted place for nature journal conversations. And I want to invite all of you to join us at Wonderland. And what Wonderland is an alternative to Facebook, where people are sharing nature journal pages, asking questions. We have discussion forums, threads for educators, and people are putting up all sorts of really fun stuff. And you can go check out what what's happening in other journalers' journals, and it's really cool. So the we're encouraging more people to just put your nature journaling pages up there. It's a real source of connection. And so I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of, that's in a wormo. I love it. So I'm going to stop my share. All of these are resources to try to make this useful for you. And if you're looking through these and you're like, I need some human touch. All right. Every Wednesday, we have a live discussion between nature journal educators all over the globe. I'm there. Other educators are there. We talk about like what's going on in your classroom, how you working that. Sometimes there's a very specific theme. We're talking about neurodiversity and or whatever the topic may be. And but others, it's these open things. Or if you're workshopping something and you're stuck, you shoot me an email and you say like, I'm trying to do this. Could we use this subject that I'm struggling with as a discussion topic for a week's forum? And then we'll turn that into the discussion. And then the brain trust that is the Nature Journal Educators Forum, all those people will come together and they will be, not just me, but all of us will be problem solving the things that are kind of getting in your way. So we're trying to make lots of resources for you to do this. So I've got stuff on johnmuirlaws.com. We have wildwonder.org, and we also have this new Wonderland zone for people to come together. All of these are resources to try to make you more successful and just to have fun doing this. There's not one way to teach nature journaling. There are as many ways to do it as there are nature journal educators. I want to invite you to let this be something that you connect your students with. I believe that this is such a powerful way of connecting our hearts and minds with the world around us. And it works. It's authentic. Kids get it that like, oh yeah, this is authentic. It's actually what scientists are doing. right? We're paying attention in this way. So when we harness that, it's fun. You also are developing skills so you can see yourself getting better. So as we do this, you're developing more mastery in all these things. And kids can track that. Like think about the journal. It's not just a record of how you've changed. It is a record of how many pages it took to get from here to there. So when you're teaching growth mindset, it's a record of your progress and the work that you put in. So I really hope that all of you have a ton of fun with this all around the world. Innovate new ideas, share them with others. I want to invite you to join the conversation about how we're using these tools together to connect people with the world. And again, I want to thank the Outdoor Learning School and Store and Take Me Outside for the work that you are doing to make things like this workshop available to everybody. Absolutely delighted and honored to be here with all of you.
Thank you, Jack. Oh my goodness, just exceptional as always. We had you before, and to have you back, just yeah, the amount that you give and give and give is amazing. And by the way, we're not a big box company. We're one of them charitable nonprofits as
That's
well. So
right.
if you do get the
So
school,
you
if you
got
do
it in
get
your
the book
store?
here, yeah, we
That's
do.
right.
That's
So
why I'm
if you
here.
are in Canada, order this from the Outdoor Learning store.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciated. Manny says yes, please.
Yes, please.
Um, yes, please. And also you saw there's amazing resources. So all the links of all these key things that were shared in the chat in that absolute waterfall, we will put in a thing at the end. Look, we're a little bit over time, but I just wanted to ask two things. One
Yes.
thing is for the early childhood educators, bunch of them here. Maybe some kids aren't writing yet or something. Do you have little tips?
Yes. So they're also just learning how to hold a pencil, right? So make it fun, play with it. If and let's you are going out in nature to discover nature things. So if we kind of get stressed about like, no, that doesn't look like a squirrel, right? That the little ones are often also fearless. This is well, with the very little ones, the strategy of tell me about this picture is very little, very useful. Tell me what's more about this, and then you can go like, oh, that's a squirrel. And then you can ask them if they would like you to transcribe into their journal any words. Sometimes you can, if they want it written in their journal, you can. Getting things verbatim in kid language is great. You can also use Post-its, the big Post-its, to write on what they say. Stick that on the back of the page, and then you have a record of the kids' thoughts about what they're seeing before they get to the place that they can write themselves. And but use their specific language, and it it becomes really cute. Um, Another piece of that is that um, for kids who are just starting off with this, the younger kids often are fearless. You can bring in craft elements. So think of how can I also do leaf rubbings or bark rubbings? Can we do leaf prints? Have some paint, make a mess. Messes are good. Have a sort of pro mess environment. Um, and be sure you're bringing in a healthy element of play. What if we also had a healthy element of play in the adult education that we do? Wouldn't that be a better world? Um, so those are a few suggestions about kind of working with the younger ones. As you develop, and also if you are really respecting the questions that they ask, you don't have to answer these questions. You can just like, that is the coolest question. I have no idea how you came up with that question. Tell me more about that because that's such a rich question. You can just play with those questions. Then we're reinforcing the curiosity in the questions. Keep doing that all the way through. Something that I really like about this approach is that it really honors the question rather than just honoring answers.
Mm.
Um, by the time we get kids up into middle school, we're sucking the questions out of them. So this is helping bring those forward.
That's such a wonderful thing. There were lots and lots of questions. Lots of them are about that early childhood. A lot of them were talking about color. Do you draw in black and then color when you return, or are you
No, I usually
taking?
do my color live in the field. I carry a
Okay.
little watercolor set with me,
Mm.
and then I do that. When you're starting off, doing watercolor with kids is really messy. It's fun, but sometimes it's frustrating for them because they're not getting the results that they want. So a good strategy for sort of starting with color with kids is colored pencils. Oh, you've got the Altoids tin.
Well, she's going to get embarrassed because she's ultimate fan, but she's someone who runs nature journaling workshops for us. Her name's Sonia Rokosh. I hope she's still here, but she made me a tiny watercolor palette, ceramic with watercolors in. And it comes with a little bit of paper to do the thing. And you just need one brush, and a little bit of water goes in the lid from your water bottle. And life's beautiful.
Life is beautiful. Um, yeah, the little tins. This is fun. These are the Bob Ross Happy Little Tree Mints. Now there's a sketching tin.
So you don't need much, right? You don't need much to go out. Pastels, maybe Angela asked, would they work? Okay, look, I'm really cognizant of the time because we have to do a little couple of prize giveaways. 25, two gift cards to the store and two to the Take Me Outside store. But I just want to say, Jack, I could talk to you for hours. Clearly, there are so many amazing resources and things to join up. We're hoping to get you for a seasonal course at some point to come back as well and spend more time with us because we
Well,
love spending
well,
time with
there
you.
and for you folks up there in Canada, there are some really amazing nature journal educators who you can connect with who are doing nature journaling in your neck of the woods. Um, if you join us on the Wednesday forums, one of the co-hosts of that is Billy Joe Reed, who is just an absolutely exceptional nature journal educator, and she's well, I can't say that she's local because Canada is big,
A big
but
country, yeah. Few time zones.
she may be local.
I love that. Well, Scouts Honor, I'm going to do more nature journaling. I'm going to keep doing it, do it with my kids, but I'm going to keep practicing my pencil work. I hope everyone else does too, because it is phenomenal. Lots of people saying that the more you do, the better it gets. It's not all just foo-foo, and it's real. Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming and spending time with us today. We've got a tiny little break to give you time to digest all this knowledge. We'll be back on October 21st or 22nd, whichever the Tuesday is. Sorry, my brain's too full of nature. I want to go out and draw some things. But we'll see you closer to the end of October for learning about climate change, Ed. Before you can go, Jack, if you would like to, I appreciate you, but I'm just going to quickly do prize giving. Here we go. I'm scrolling and okay, Gabrielle Wilson. Gabrielle Wilson, you've won a $25 gift card to the Outdoor Learning Store. You could use that to put towards Jack's book. Next one. Sarah Van Winkle. Sarah Van Winkle, you are our second winner of the night. Okay. Third is Cindy NG. Cindy NG. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing or if that's how that's said, but Cindy NG, Cindy with a C. You have won $25 to the Take Me Outside store. And last but not least, we're looking for Heather Prowl. Heather Prowl, you're our final fourth winner. It's been absolute magic to have you here on a Tuesday. Thank you for coming. It's been incredible, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing. If you didn't win that, if you're an educator and there's stuff that you see on my website that you really need and you can't afford, shoot me an email. We'll talk about it and we'll see what I can do to kind of get you either an educational discount or sometimes I just mail you stuff. I so respect what you're doing as teachers, as educators. Any way that I can be useful to you in the work that I do, please reach out to me. All my contact information is available on my website, and you can just reach me directly there. Don't feel that you like don't think I don't want to bug him. Bug me, and let's make the world better.
Love that. What a way to finish. Thank you for everything you do, Jack. And thanks to all of you. Have a great evening.